Hello everyone, this is Double20 and welcome to episode 82 of Double20's Let's Play of ATM10 to the Sky, where I'm doing something that everybody always recommends I try, but I've never once before done. And that's using integrated dynamics to fill up my water. So let's do something about that. So in theory, I should be able to take you and just set you to true for a Boolean. Fluid transfer rate. Well, that works. I guess that's one approach. That's really funny. That is really funny. So there you go. Everybody always says I should do it that way, and like I never do it that way. I'm always like, yeah, one of these days I'll try it. Today I decided to actually do it because I already had integrated dynamics going, right? Like I usually don't feel like doing the whole like let's get the auto crafting, but like I already had it up and running, so I'm like, well, today, this is a good series to try this on. And thus I did. So with that said, I think I'm going to use Laser IO for all my transferring of chemicals, only because I can imagine that, being a good idea, right? So I don't want a card cloner. I want my card this doohickey. Cool. And then you can fill up some of that stiff. And then you to you. And your channel will be kind of a brownish. That still looks pretty red, doesn't it? Probably because I didn't hit apply. Not a great brown, but you get the idea. All right, blackish it is. Link it up. You're going to insert a chemical, and you're going to extract. Thought I made mouse wheel a thing for that. Let's do 64 a tick. Should keep up. So now you guys are having no problems-ish. You could probably do a little bit more. Uranium oxide is definitely a problem. Okay, once you're back stuff, you see. So uranium oxide, the chemical oxidizer, is definitely the problem. Oxidizer. I remember wanting a bunch of these, so let's just do it up. Hey. Right? And then we're going to want the mechanism copier. Retrieved configuration, injected, right? And then what that should have done is copied everything so that its input and outputs and all that stuff are the same, right? And then we should be able to make tubes. I don't think we have tubes, so let's... Where's my U? You going home? You are. Good. Let's get... We're going to want these anyway, pressurized tubes, so we might as well get them programmed up. What are these guys? Oh, Ender chemical conduits. Oh, that's cool. Ender IO has conduits now. Chemicals. That's nifty. Cool. And then pipes. Are you going to be able to transfer fast enough? I guess we'll see. I'm just curious if we can use these pipes. I've not actually tested this before, but we'll see what happens. So your sidedness should also be an output. I wonder if you'll... Oh, you will. That's cool. He's not quite fast enough, though. But if I did this, would he be cool? right? And now you need some universal cables to come in and help out. And then you're going to want some mechanism upgrades. Give me like another 100-ish of those. And another 100-ish of these. You can go away. I think we'll hang on to some of this for a minute. I don't need you no more. I think I'm done with you as well. And you should be good enough. Is that cool? Seems like it's keeping up. And then you should be able to handle pressurized tubes. And your side config, we want orange to come in the top. Right? And that's cool. Sweet. Okay. Now, somebody somewhere is going to be a hassle for me, but we'll see. You're keeping up, kinda. You're doing okay. One of these guys might be a problem. We'll find out. But at least that really gets our production cooking. Is that cool? I think it's cool. Now, realistically, we probably don't need the turbine. Like, we don't care even at all about the turbine. Theoretically, that is probably true, right? Because we have so much power that we legitimately don't care about it. Right? Like, we're still maxing out on this thing, even with all those things running. And you're at, like, 2 billion FE per... 2 million. Is it 2 million FE? Yeah. But, like, we're currently voiding 8-ish million. That is pretty cool, right? It's fun. It's fun. Dyer has fun with this stuff. Now, at some point, we're probably going to run low on fluorite and/or uranium and/or sulfur. These are problems that we'll deal with when they occur, right? But for now, at least, we're getting our fuel, which is cool. So let's get this to the point where we like decide what like so the max burn rate's at like almost 2 buckets per tick, which I don't think we'll possibly get close to. But we could start with like something like 100 and probably be cool. And then let's set you. So you're usually either high temperature or critical waste level, right? So if either of these things happen, you'll emit a redstone signal, right? And then, do we have the RF Tools logic dude? Yes. Cool. I like this one. This one's really good for doing the whole logic structure. It just makes it a little bit easier. Cool. And then you're going to be activation, right? So right now you're not running. You're still getting lots of that stuff. You guys are going to do this, 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 right? And then we're going to have a button, right? Okay. And then your side config will be if this one turns on and the back is off, meaning we're not in a critical state, right? This redstone signal means either we have too much waste or we have too much heat, right? So if this turns, if A turns on and B is off, you're gonna turn on your signal on the back, right? The UI is a little busted. You have to close and reopen to see the change, right? If A is off and B is off, we want you to keep your current signal, right? And C will never go on, so like we don't ever worry about C being on, right? And then what I'll probably do is put a button here as well for testing. right? And then if B ever turns on, regardless of the state of A and C, we want you to be off, right? So if B is ever on, turn off the output, right? So what should happen now is when I hit this button, right, A turns on, B is off, so we're not in a critical state. So we turn on the output, which turns on the reactor, right? And then as soon as the button turns off, we'll be off and off, which will keep the current status, which is keeps it on. And then if B ever activates, it turns off. Deal? Right? Now we're cooking, we're making that, and then we that, and you're off. Cool? I like it. Now is steam fluid? No, it's a chemical. So we need a chemical outputter. I'm hoping you're enough to do that. But you are water, right? So you should have some amount of water somewhere in here. Yeah, you have like a ton of water. So what I could do is this, right? And you, and fluid interface, and fluid exporter, right? So you're going to fluid export with a cable, and you are once again going to be a Boolean true. And your fluid transfer rate will be that. Now, you probably won't go nowheres on account of the fact that you're already maxed. So we probably don't even need that. Now, do we want to dump excess? Yes. Water will not be recycled. I'm okay with that, right? Because we don't really care that much. Okay. And then you can be a flux plug for the generators network with a bypass limit. Cool. So you just drained all your power. Cool. So now if I hit the button, boop, we're running. Boop, we're producing steam at a pretty decent rate. Okay. And then you're making power, 12 million FE per tick, which is mostly being voided, but we don't care because we're not making this for steam. We're making this for nuclear waste, which is cool. Good deal, right? And then we can bump this up at some point. So what's our level here? We're definitely net gaining, so that's cool, right? So we should be able to bump this up to like 200 burn rate. And we're still net gaining. So that's cool. About 250. Still net gaining. Ever so slowly. But we are definitely net gaining, which is cool. Now, are you going to have a problem if our coolant gets too hot? I guess we'll find out. I mean, obviously we have a solution for that, right? It's just more things. But like, we want to be ready. Just curious what happens. Does too much steam equals too much heat? We'll see. No, he doesn't seem to care. I'm okay with that. But let's turn you off for a sec. So now at this point you should be that. We don't need you guys. Whee! And then you should be exporting nice and quickly into there, which we're not even capping out at the rate, that we can. And now the question is that enough output? No, we're still net gaining on Steam. That's funny. How about 5 more? Cool. And remember to always turn it on with the button. Otherwise, like, it won't turn off if you get to a danger zone. Cool. All right, so that's that dude. So now we just need one of these and one of these. Now, if I remember correctly, we're going to need something that we probably don't have at the moment in order to make a thing here, but we'll find out. So we're going to need to know how to make some of these. It's going to make as many as we can. Shouldn't be a big deal. That's the easy one. Did they make it so I don't have to do that, like, stuff snowmores? Because that would be cool. That would be actually very cool. You guys can go away, so can you. You're done, you're done, you're done. Don't think you're done quite there. Cool. Just a little organizing. Sweet. Didn't that usually require going into, like, the whole shebang thing? I guess, but now we're good. All right, cool. So now we're going to want waste processing, right? So we take our nuclear waste, and we're going to either make polonium or plutonium, both of which need to be processed with fluorite dust in a pressurized reaction chamber. So 2 of you, 1, 2 of these, and then your job will basically be you and you pushing into you and you. This is usually how I do this, right? And then we're going to use cables here. Remember, that one doesn't need power because he's solar. Okay. And then you're both going to need water. I might. Do something like that so I can run some cables this way. And then you can do power like that. And then you can have like an interface or something or an export bus, or it really doesn't matter. I think we'll export bus it because why not, right? So you get fluorite dust. You both get fluorite dust, right? Yes. So we'll want to export bus with a crafting card for both of you. Fluorite dust and water. Do you know how to make fluorite dust? I'm guessing not. Luckily, we have a mechanism crusher. So I guess the one downside to this is when he goes in, he's just going to be one at a time because, like, these guys have already been modified, right? So if I control, and then we shrink them all down, I can control and shift, and that'll become 64, right? So we just have to do that every time we do something new. So I like that that's a thing, right? And now you should have no problem as long as your sidedness is set to input here. Perfect. Cool, cool, cool. And then you are going to, for chemicals, you can input out the back. That's cool. Now what I would like for you to do is be an import-export bus. Let's do that, right? Stock import-export bus. Import-export bus. So that your side can be input-output and your side can be input-output, right? And then you're still going to do this, 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 and that. And you're still going to do this, 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 and that. Cool. Okay. And then you just need this dude to link these guys. And you're going to be $32 a tick, which should be more than good because we're only making 250 millibuckets per tick. Okay. And then here you can input chemical card. Nuclear waste is a chemical, right? Yes, but I put you on the wrong side. There we go. And that's cool, right? And now we're doing great. Except you did all that, right? But that's okay. We'll deal with you in a minute, right? Now all your waste, are you just having trouble processing that fast enough? I did give you upgrades, right? No. Well, there's your problem. Should be good. We'll see. Should I have water first, maybe? I'm thinking I should. Only because I noticed the water burns a lot quicker than the fluorite. So he should try to replace water before he tries to replace fluorite. And when he does replace fluorite, he'll do stack at a time. So you should be cool there. All right, cool. And then you guys need to do the whole giant array of radioactive waste barrels, right? Which should not be a problem. So give me a few hundred of you. Right? And then we take a look at our claimed chunks. You're all claimed, so it really shouldn't matter how this all plays out. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to do a barrel with a building gadget. Okay, then we're going to do pressurized tube with a building gadget. Okay. And then barrels with a building gadget. Do we not have enough barrels for this? Maybe I didn't make enough. Is that cool? Okay? And then you guys can spit out in your ultimate pressurized tube way to here. Okay. So if I do that, and make sure that your waste chemical is outputting to the front, cool. And then you should be evenly going to all these dudes, which will then have no problem keeping up, hopefully. Are we cool with this? Right? Like everybody's getting some number of this and it's all behaving. And in theory shouldn't back stuff, and if it does, we'll deal with it. Cool. Alright. Now the only other thing we want to do is have you be redstone normal, which means you're not going to run. And you can also be redstone normal, which means you're not going to run. Because the last thing we want to do is set up an SPS, because that's what we're like doing all this for, is antimatter, right? So now, let's get our SPS copy and paste ready to go. Okay, so for you, we're going to get paper. Paste that in. Load that up. And we can check out our materials list, which is going to be this. So we need 121 reactor gas, and we need SPS casings. And we need SPS ports. And then we need the supercharged coils, which are going to need lasers. And that should be all she wrote. Right? So the laser, we really only need one of those, right? Well, actually, I've got 3 in my picture, so might as well make 3. Doesn't hurt. The ports, we're going to need 5. Right? And we're short on HDPE sheets. I knew I was going to have to do HDPE. I just knew it. But polonium is definitely what we're short on. So where are we at here? Plutonium... We have 167 polonium, we have 41, and we're going to need 60 SPS casings. So that's definitely going to need... We need a little bit more plutonium. We're going to need, like, let's say 300-ish plutonium should be more than enough for, like, the whole shebang. So let's turn on plutonium with our lever. Right, and then that'll start draining that. It looks like he's doing a good job, right? I like that. And we're actually, like, pretty good here. Right? And then we just need HDPE sheets. Right? So I'm going to say that's enough of that. And now you can run and make polonium for me. And then we just need to deal with HDPE sheets, which is going to be ye old. That's actually not that bad. That's not the crazy one. That's just the pressurized reaction chamber with ethylene, right? So that's doable. And oxygen and a PRC and the substrate. But, like, we get that from making ethylene, right, with biofuel. So we can definitely knock that out. But I'm feeling like that's going to be some next episode type stuff, right? So we need to sleep through the night. Because that's the trick with the solar neutron-y dude. Right? But we'll wrap up the episode here. We'll come back next episode. And it looks to me like we should be cool with this whole setup. Right? Because... I want to move you here. You're keeping up with us burning a backlog. So as long as you can keep up with the backlog, we're cool. And you're still net gaining, right? Yes. So we're producing more fissile fuel than we're using, and we're keeping up with processing of the waste in a backloggy way. And then we'll make sure we have enough polonium pellets for 60 SPS casings. Right? So I think we should be cool here. We need about 300 polonium pellets. So I'll make sure I turn this off, because I kind of want to save as much waste as I can. But for now, it's wrapping up point. Darryl20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Take it easy.